Hi everyone. So welcome to my YouTube channel again. My name is Emanuela and today I'm interviewing Frank Monkhouse. This is like one of the biggest sports betting writers on LinkedIn and in real life. So I'm going to allow Frank tell you a little bit about himself and then we're going to get into the subject of today's interview. So Frank,
Thank you, Manira. Thanks for letting me on. As you know, I've been following you for a long time. I love your casino. I'm all sportsbook. So I don't know, that's just my passion, that's just my background. I learned about gambling through the sportsbook industry, so I don't know a lot about casino, and that's how I noticed you in the first place. Because and as we've been friends, I've noticed your videos have improved, that you've really drill down, and I'm well proud of your success. And it's just the start. You're getting, it's no one's gave you it. It's not a fluke. It's not luck. Like, it's hard work. The same as myself. It's, the harder you work, the luckier you'll get. It's the same in sports. It's an old saying in sports. The harder you work, the luckier you get, and I think it's the same in sports and betting.
yeah.
But I moved to, I was always a good writer. I always loved writing. It was the only thing I liked in school. I was a boxer. My dad was a professional boxer. I was a professional boxer. So I was a pest in school. I wasn't good at anything in school apart from fighting, chasing girls, making trouble. I just, I liked history and I liked writing, and I got by on just pure talent without research and stuff. So when I got a sports scholarship at the University of East London when I was 19, 20, I boxed Scotland against England, invited to London, and then I did a sports scholarship there. So I studied journalism. My dad, as I said, was a pro. So he told me, get something that is different from boxing. So if you're a personal trainer and you break your leg, then you can't personal train or box. So writing was, it was a way to stay involved in sport, but it was a way to, it was like a different angle. So when I retired from boxing, I went into back to writing, and I got a job at Coral Bookmakers. That was in their London head office. And I worked my way up. I started on the phones before internet betting. Most bets were done in shop or over the telephone. You'd phone me up. I'd be sitting in a headset in London and say, like, take your bets, put them on for you, use your debit card or whatever, and place those bets. And I worked really hard, worked my way up, and made good friends with the regulars. And I got into the broadcasting department, which in those days was the radio. So it's the audio that goes into all the betting offices. And then I was lucky because then online started, online betting became popular. That started to come through, and I was able to get a job on the website content team at Coral, writing to their customer facing websites, writing previews, promotions for bonuses, everything really. And that was in the early days, so that was a good, I was lucky with my timing, but also a lot of hard work. So when my boxing finished, my wife got pregnant. She's from London, and we always wanted to move back to Scotland. So when she got pregnant, I got an injury at boxing. It just kind of fell into place, and then we moved to Scotland. So we're living in Glasgow, sunny Glasgow, Greenock even. But there's no content writing jobs, maybe 2014. So I created a blog, and I thought, if I can't get anyone to employ me, then I'll start my own business. That's where it came from. And then I was just really lucky. My background in boxing and at Coral just kind of made it easier to get into the industry. And I started writing for Betfair, and then all the other big names started coming.
Oh, that's quite interesting because from what you've said so far, your growth and your experience in the industry started from your passion for boxing and then grew into having the opportunity to work with land-based bookmakers and then getting into the media. So far it means you actually know what it means for people to write very good sports betting content.
Yeah.
You know what it means for sports betting content to show experience, to show expertise. So, from your perspective, I want you to tell the viewers like a few things that they have to note if at all they want to go into sports betting writing.
You've got to love the game. It's a really, really hard game. It was hard enough before COVID. But since COVID, you'll know there's so many new people have joined the industry, so many content creators, either in video or copy. It's just exploded over COVID. People got a wee sort of staying at home writing and thought there's enough tools now that can improve anyone's writing, including my own. So the market's saturated now with writers, but
Too saturated.
eh,
Yeah.
big competition. But the good writers and the good content creators and the experienced ones and the ones who know can put genuine value to the subject shine through. So I'm lucky that my background kind of helps me in that way. But you've got to love the game. You've got because it's hard work. I always relate it to sport. To get ahead in sport, you've got to start at the bottom and work your way up. You've got to swallow your ego. You've got to take the knocks. You've got to take the knockbacks, the denials. But you've just got to keep working, and you'll get that little clint opportunity or a little bit of luck, and, that's where it comes from. But if you're going to, it's a great industry. Sports betting is a great industry. I think so. Content creation, as you know, is a wonderful industry if you're lucky enough to be in it. But and it's open to anyone. That's what I wrote my course about. I based my course on how the online's evolved. And when we were younger, you had to be a journalist to write anything. You had to be like a proper author to write books. But now anyone with a passion for any field and a talent for writing can create content. So if you love, and that can be boxing, it can be betting, it could be casino, it could be birds, any subject um that you're completely in love with, you can cover as a writer. And I think that your passion shines through in your content.
Yeah. 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 Passion aside, there's one thing to be passionate about a sport. Let's say, for example, I love basketball, right? But I can't say because I love basketball, I will make a fantastic basketball betting writer. That's not true because there are certain technicalities that you need to understand for you to write this content. For example, what are the betting markets? How do you know what odds are actually in your favor and stuff like that? So I want you to maybe point out a couple of, technical jargons that people would need to understand fully, at least the basics, before they think of going into, sports writing.
Yeah, I think that for the way I was taught and still today is all on stats. I love the stats. But when I'm writing my article, I'll write it to you. I'll write it to if I'm walking to a football match. I imagine I'm walking to a football match and I'm speaking to a friend or family or a fellow fan, and they've asked me what is the big bet on this game. So I'll give them and my articles are always an introduction, and then I just fill them with stats, relevant stats, in fact. So you need to be willing to roll your sleeves up and really dive into the numbers. You'll be amazed how often that you see a recurrence of themes and stats and trends in sports betting. So if it's horse racing, you'll see a horse or a jockey will perform best at a certain track. If it's a football team, they'll be aggressive in their setup, so they'll score, but they also concede goals. I loved it about boxing that the a boxer, Vladimir Klitschko, heavyweight champion, knocking everyone out. But if you look deep into the stats, you'd see he was knocking people out in the later rounds. So that's where you'd get a bet from. You'd get no price on the knockout, but if you look at rounds 10 to 12, for example, study the stats, you'd get a better price. So I think you've got to really, really have the patience to dive in deep to the stats because you know about basketball, I know about basketball. You don't want a basketball tip from me because you know more about basketball than me. But if I can back up my predictions with solid stats, entertaining facts, it's win, lose or draw, it's a pick made with the right intentions. It's a research. Most people want like I've not. Most people don't have the time to fully research their predictions. So that's what I see myself as doing. Is I see myself as someone who can do the research for you, provide a pick, and then it's up to my reader if they want to follow and watch. So I would suggest really having an interest in and an understanding for the stats. But it's not an easy market either. As you said, a lot of jargon. So there's right. Started writing for an American audience in the last few years. and it's the same content, it's just worded differently, like match winning will be money line, totals, handicaps, it's all
Yeah.
different. You need to know your audience, so that is important. You need to know your audience. If I'm writing to a British bettor, I need to know how to put that my point across. Whereas if I'm writing to an American football gambler in the US, then you just word it differently. The odds are different. The markets are slightly, they're the same thing, but they got different names and stuff. But you've got to really understand sports betting and your audience, I think.
That makes a lot of sense. It means one thing that's very important for every sports betting writer to know is how to localize. Because the way people experience sports, yes, it's the same game, but the idea of it is different from one location to another. There are different words that are used, the way the odds are set are different, and things like that. So it means the first thing, in my opinion, from everything that you've said, that a newbie should do would be to study different markets and
Yeah.
what is relevant in these markets.
Yeah. If in the study I don't go into a preview with a prediction. That is the last thing I'll come to. So I take my readers in a journey through the introduction to the game. Let's say Man United Rangers the other night. The introduction to the game, where it is, and then the stats for the home team, the stats for the away team. And if you research the stats, more often than not, there's 200 betting markets on a football match.
Yeah.
You will find, if it's both teams to score, if it's first goal scorer, if it's under 2.5 goals, your research will always, more often than not, lead you to a solid bet. You can make your findings fit a market, and then maybe a few markets, and then you'll find the kind of which price you're after. But you touched on it recently. I saw that a lot of reviewers are writing articles on maybe sports books and casinos not in their country and the VPN. But you touched on it recently. You need to really sign up. You need to get in deep. You can't just gloss over it, because anyone can do that. If you want to get ahead, you need to dig. You need to go further than the other writers. You need to get in and have a feel and truly understand either the casino or the sports book.
Yeah. Okay, that's really been an interesting one. And something that I noticed recently was, your course that you took the entire break to work on. And I think this is very brilliant because a lot of people, like when I started in the iGaming space, I never had any resources to fall back on. I didn't have anyone telling me, "Oh, don't do it this way. This is what to do." And so this is brilliant because now people who are looking to get into the sports betting space have your course, you know, to look at. So can you maybe give us an idea of what to expect from, the start to the end of the course?
So I kept it as basic and simple as possible. It is aimed at different writers. It's aimed at people who want to get into it, sports writing, who can see there's a lot of money in sports betting. It's a lucrative industry. It's worth, instead of betting against them, it's worth joining them. And if that's the way you see it, there's definitely a good career in sports betting for some people.
Yeah.
So I wanted to make that obvious, and I wanted to show the steps to getting into sports betting. So I kept it very basic. There's 20 modules, one on the equipment you'll need, very basic equipment. I mean, you don't need the fancy laptop, you don't need the best, as you know, when you're starting out, there's no points,
And then the money.
spending a lot of money, there's not, you can do it on your laptop. So I showed the equipment you'll need, the best AI tools and editing tools that will really elevate your content, where to find employers, how to find employers. There's a module on creating a portfolio, because I think that is a big. I created a website at first, a blog at first, is a good way to sharpen your writing skills. Then I teach people how to create a portfolio, for an affordable portfolio that will really show what they've got, what they bring to the industry, and their skills. Um, and there's also templates. So if you're still coming to grips, there's templates that are really easy to follow. There's a match template that will teach you how to do a match preview and betting tips on anything, on any sport. There's also a review template, and I've wrote a million reviews. I've lost count. It's, as you know, it's evergreen content. It's the best way to, and especially in the early days, it's the kind of articles you'll encounter the most is the evergreen reviews. So there's a template on how to write that for any sports book. And there's also a group chat with other writers and editors who share jobs, who share advice. It's a good little community. It's only the start. I found my skills are better suited to creating it than promoting it, but that's the next challenge, is to really push it. So I thank you for inviting me on here, but that is the next challenge, is really pushing it, because I think I've got a great product. But there's no point in having a great product if no one knows about it.
That's
So
true.
the next challenge is really getting it out there, and I want to show people sports fans can write about sports. I want to show people my number one reason for writing it. I want to show people who have fallen out a lot, who have fallen away from writing. Maybe they're a good writer in school, maybe they're a good writer in college, and then family or life gets in the way. And it's a passion, but it's a hobby for many people. I've showed how easy it is to get back into writing, or I've made it, the course helps make it easy to get back into writing and give a path. I want to keep it very basic. I called on my experiences boxing and the courses we do and the lessons we do inside boxing gyms. So it's very heavily reliant on sports and a sports format, but it will teach you basically step by step how to go from someone who loves writing to getting paid with the biggest websites.
Oh, that's really fantastic. And you mentioned something about AI, and that brings me to the question. These days, we find a lot of people in the writing space who claim they can write, but ChatGPT is the actual writer. They're just behind the keyboard. And I have no problem with AI, but I think there are certain industries where your experience as a human being has to be what's in front of your work. Like it has to shine through. And ChatGPT or whatever AI tool does not have that experience. So, for example, you have to predict the outcome of a match and stuff like that. I don't think ChatGPT is going to do a good job. So, what do you think the entry barrier should be now for people who are looking to get into sports betting? Should it?
That's right.
Okay, I think I have a very tiny experience with writing. I can get into it, or oh, I don't need to know anything. ChatGPT is going to do it for me. Let me.
You're right. Those ChatGPT's made everyone with an interest in writing a great writer, and it does a great job. I use it daily. I use it for formatting. I I use it instead of Google. I use it for everything. And it's really, really helpful. But you ask ChatGPT, write me a prediction for the next Man United game. It doesn't know how Man United fared at the weekend, doesn't know who's injured, doesn't know the influence home crowd advantage, doesn't know the weather. It can't, and it, and people want to read tips from other humans. They're wanting my advice, my research, and my predictions. They don't want like a robot to kick out numbers, and then it's got no feeling. I don't think it's very, very helpful tool, but it won't replace. There's an old saying that's on LinkedIn, and you'll know what I mean. It will replace bad writers and it will help good writers. So ChatGPT, download it, get used to it. It's a beautiful tool and it's the future of our work. But you need to it won't be a substitute for poor writing. You need to I think personally, as we said, you need to have a passion for sport as a good starting place, and you need to have just as big a passion for writing. You have to. I wrote my job I do now. I did for free for so many years because uh, I've got wanted my content out there. If you type sports betting, it won't be long before you come across my name online somewhere, and that's this product. That just continually banging out good content, but getting it as everywhere as possible, getting it widely available. So, um, I would, if I would keep busy. So you've got to have a passion. You've got to want to. If you won the lottery or I won the lottery, I'd like to think I'd still create content as a hobby. You've got to really, really love the game, and I do. So if you've got a passion for sports or an interest in sports, but a real deep passion for writing and creating content. Those two are essential before you even pick up your laptop, before you even get started. You must have an incredible work ethic because we're all compete. Although we're all helping each other, we're all competing against each other,
That's
especially when you're freelance for the same jobs.
yeah.
So you find a good writer and read them like yourself or like me or any good sports book writer. Read the fight. read as much of their work as you can, pick up the good bits, look for areas you can improve, and that's a great starting block. But you must read, read, and read again.
Exactly. So it's like a continuous learning process. No matter how good you are, you still have to read because there's something I do a lot. When I was trying to improve my slot reviews, I would go and read the very best reviews I can find online and take from this person's ideas, take from this person's ideas, and then I fine tune mine. So I think it's a continuous process. It's never ending.
Yep. It's just the exact same as when I was boxing. You're always learning. You're never going to be a master. You're just little improvements every day, and that comes from practice and watching the experts. So taking advice, reading articles, like it's just sports betting and sports are very similar. You're always learning.
That's it. Thank you so much. I'm glad we successfully had you on here. We almost missed this, but it's been a very, very interesting chat, and I hope that the viewers do enjoy it.
Thank you, Manuela. It's really, as I said, I'm a big fan of yours. You know that I've told you 100 times. It's
Yeah.
all because it's nothing but hard work. You've got talent, but no one gave you an audience, no one gave you a platform. It's all graft, and that's how we'll continue to go. We'll keep building and building, and that is an option open to anyone who wants to get into sports content creation. You'll find my course on Warp, who I'll write for, and Warp is a crazy thing. That is the future.
Yeah, well, it's the link in the description of this video, so anyone so course can easily get it from there.
If you see that, you'll see it's really basic. I've kept it as streamlined as possible, and you'll find it an informative read, but you'll come out of it a better writer, and you'll also know where to apply for jobs and the biggest names that are hiring. So if you go in with a passion for writing, a passion for sport, and an incredible work rate, then you'll succeed. I'm confident most people will succeed and find a good paying job in sports betting creation.
All right. So thank you guys for watching. Do well to like, subscribe, and follow the channel. All right, Frank. Nice having you. Bye bye.
Thank you very much.